All right, crocheters, today is the day we actually start crocheting our Highland cow ornament. If you need the materials list for this, it will be linked in the description down below. There will be a PDF with a nice checklist there for you. For those who already have it, grab your 8mm hooks, your super bulky A and B yarn, and let's get started.
So I'm going to be using almond for this version. If you were able to find some pumpkin spice or some fall leaves color for the main color of the body or the head, I would recommend using sand for the nose, for the color A, and then the pumpkin spice or orange leaf for the color B. So we're going to get started. Like I said, we've got color A. Today I'm going to be using almond, and then I'll be using taupe for the color B. And we're going to do a magic ring. To do a magic ring, simply hold the yarn here on your middle finger, wrap it around these two fingers, cross in the front, and pull it around and hold it here again. You'll have parallel lines in the back. Then you're going to insert your hook underneath the first strand, grab the second strand, and as you pull it under, pull towards you. And then you're going to go right here underneath this part of the strand, and you're going to pull it through. And what that does is that gives you a loop on a circle. And then into this circle, we're going to single crochet 8. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You're going to go ahead and pull the yarn tail so that it all cinches up. And this project is worked in concentric circles, which means we're going to do an invisible slip stitch at the end of each row. So you're going to just pull out a little bit of a loop, and then you're going to come through the back side of this of the very first stitch, going to pull that loop, and you're just going to pull it right through like this. And what that does is that just closes off the circle without working in a spiral, so that finishes it off just as a complete circle. And then when we begin our next row, we'll work right into the stitch we just pulled through, starting a new circle. So for row 2, we're going to do 3, and we're going to do 2 triple increases. So that just means, so right here we're going to work into this stitch, and we're going to do 1, 2, and 3, all in that same stitch. And then you might have to pull this to the side a little bit because it's so big it can kind of hide the next stitch. And we're going to do that one more time. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to single crochet 2. 1 and 2. Then once again, we're going to do a triple increase. 1, 2, 3. Pull it to the side so you can find your next stitch. 1, 2, 3, and single crochet 1, single crochet 2, for a total of 16 stitches. Once again, we're going to pull this loop out just a little bit, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to just come straight in from the back, so I will try and grab the front of the stitch and pull it a little bit higher. So I'll just kind of put my crochet hook through the front. That way it's easier to find from the back when I'm doing my invisible slip stitch. So that closes off that second row. So for row 3, we're going to be switching to color B, which I mentioned at the beginning I'm going to be using taupe, which is this kind of nice light brown color, well, medium brown color. And so to switch colors with the invisible join, it's really pretty easy. You just go ahead and pull it through that loop right there. And then you pull the color A loop tight, and it just keeps it really, really nice and secure. If you want to have an even extra kind of layer of security here, you're going to just take the little bit of a yarn tail from your color B here and the color A yarn that's still attached to the ball, and you're just going to kind of lightly knot those together so you don't have to worry about either of those coming loose. And at this point we can cut the color A from the project. It'll come back in, but it'll be in a couple of rows from now. And then we'll try and crochet over the yarn, at least this one yarn tail, to kind of make sure everything is nice and secure. So we've switched our color, so we're on row 3, and we're just going to single crochet 16. So I'm going to hold this yarn tail right here so I can crochet over it, and we're just going to go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 16. My crocheting tends to kind of pop in, but it's all supposed to be like this. Once again, invisible slip stitch to end the row. And if you want to, you can mark the rows. For me, it's relatively easy to see like where the beginning and the end of the row is. But if it's challenging for you, absolutely use a stitch marker. So on to row 4, we're going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. And we'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. So working 2 stitches into that. Previous stitch, and then we will single crochet 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for a total of 18 stitches. Do our invisible slip stitch. Went out under one strand too many there. There we go. There we go. So this looks a little intimidating just because there's a lot of there's a lot going on. But if you just take it chunk by chunk, it's really not too difficult. So we're going to just single crochet 2, 1 and 2, then increase, increasing stitch right here. Then we'll do that one more time. 1, 2, and increase. Then we'll go ahead and do one more increase right there. Single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase 2 in a row, so 1, increase, 2, increase, single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, one more increase, and we're almost done, and a single crochet. That brings us all the way around. So, I mean, if you just break these things down little bit by little bit, they're not nearly as intimidating as they look when you first, yeah, not as intimidating as it looks. All right, kind of another intimidating row here. Once again, we'll just break it down nice and simple. A single crochet 2, 1, 2, and increase, and single crochet 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase, and single crochet 6. That kind of broke a little unevenly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and increase, and single crochet 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet. Oh, and then on this one we're going to be switching to color A. So before we go ahead and pull that last half of that increase through, we're going to grab our color A yarn here, and we're just going to pull it through to finish off this very last single crochet stitch here. And then we're going to hold these 2 yarns in the back, at least for now, and we're going to crochet over them, and we're going to do a loop increase. So the loop stitch, you're going to take, this is how I do it, you take your thumb and you just kind of pull the yarn down and you twist. So you've got this loop here, just like that. And the twist is necessary. If you just do a loop like this, it doesn't work. You need to have that cross here of the 2 yarns. Then you're going to insert your hook through that circle, through the stitch, and we're going to yarn over these 2. And then you're just going to yarn over. And so that is a loop stitch. So it's pretty secure from both sides because of that twist. And we're doing a loop increase, so you do it again. And honestly, I think these loops were too big. I forgot for a moment that we were not doing a horse, we're doing a Highland cow. So you want to have a smaller loop, probably. Maybe just a smidge bigger than your thumb. Just like that. So do that twice, and that is our loop stitch. So we're going to keep color A on for row 7. We're going to do the same invisible slip stitch here. Just like that. And we're going to keep both of our colors attached because we're going to be switching back and forth a decent amount. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have 2 loop stitches here. I made a horse last, so I am definitely having big loops, but I'm gonna try and make them a little bit smaller. So that's 2, and then because I'm switching to color B, I'm not gonna finish off the loop stitch with the color A. I'm gonna switch it, finish it off with the color B yarn. And then we're going to do the single crochet 25. And so for this, at least this portion of this project, I'm not going to carry this color A yarn all the way around. I will just pull it back over here when it's time to use it. So we've got 24 and 25 for our single crochets, and then I'm going to switch colors before I finish off that last single crochet of 25. So to do that, like I said, I'm just going to pull this yarn kind of here, and that gave me some tension, so I'm just going to loosen it up like that. And then I'm going to do the loop 3. So 1, 2, gotta get myself some more yarn here, 2, and then 3. So it can get a little bit bulky in here when we're kind of crocheting over things, but as long as you don't have, like I still have some looseness here from that, there's not a lot of tension. As long as that's the case, you should be fine. You don't want, anytime you're pulling a color change, to affect the shaping that you do. So you want to make sure it's nice and loose. So we'll go ahead and end row 7 with the invisible slip stitch. Then we're going to do row 8. We've got loop 2, so we've got 1 and 2. Before I finish off the second one, we're going to switch to color B, like so. Then we're going to, for color B, the pattern is single crochet 1 and then 2. And we're going to decrease. So we haven't done a decrease yet, so I'll just walk you guys through how I use the invisible decrease, which means you work through the front loops of the next 2 stitches. So you've got that loop, then the next loop like this, and you yarn over and you pull through those 2 loops, condensing them down into 1, and you yarn over and pull through. Then we're going to single crochet 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then another decrease. Then we're going to repeat that one more time. So we've got decrease, 7, decrease. That's what we just did, and we're going to do it one more time. So we're going to do another decrease. Decrease 1, single crochet 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then decrease, grab that front loop, grab the next front loop, yarn over, pull through those 2, yarn over to finish it off, and then 1 single crochet. once again, before we finish that off, we're going to go ahead and bring this color on over, give ourselves some, so go ahead and do our loop stitches. We've got 1, 2, and then 3. Just like that. I'm switching to the next row before I do the invisible slip stitch, just because I can't always remember what's coming next and if I'm staying on color A or color B. So we're going to still be on color A for a little bit. And so for row 9, we're going to do a loop decrease, which is a little bit more challenging than most loop stitches. So what you're going to do is you're going to form your loop like so. Then you're going to go through the stitch and you're going to try and grab the front loop. Alright, so I've got it now, and then we're going to go under the first loop of the next stitch, yarn over and pull through both of those like so. And then normally you would finish off, yarn over and pull through again, but we're going to switch to our color B to finish off the stitch. Make sure you give yourself a little bit of slack here so you don't have tension that shapes the head. And then we will continue around following the pattern. So we're going to single crochet 2, 1 and 2. Then at this point I'm going to stop crocheting over our color A. Then we're going to decrease, single crochet 5 and then decrease. So decrease, single crochet 5, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, decrease, and decrease again. Single crochet 5, and decrease. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet, and instead of finishing it off with color B, we're going to switch to color A. Once again, make sure you got a little bit of slack in there. Then we're going to do a loop decrease again. So we're going to gather the front 2 loops of these next 2 stitches. So we're going to pull our loop down, grab that stitch, grab the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. And then our last stitch for the row is a loop stitch right here. And that gives us 20 stitches. And we're going to finish off the row with the invisible slip stitch. It can be a little confusing to know which loop you're working with when you've got so many loop stitches. And then we're going to go to row 10. So row 10, we're going to be working only with the color B yarn. So you're just going to go ahead and pull a loop of it through that stitch there, and then pull your color A yarn all the way tight, which is going to suck that right down and make it basically invisible to see. So you're not really going to have a color transition at all. And then you're going to single crochet 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, then decrease. I'll do that one more time for a total of 18 stitches. And you can cut the color A yarn because we're no longer using it for the rest of the head. And decrease. We'll do our invisible slip stitch. And that is the end of row 10. All right, so to start stuffing, you're going to take a nylon and you're going to put some fiberfill in it. You don't want to start off with too much because it can be a little bit hard. I'm just going to pull a loop out here and all right, so you're just going to take your fiberfill like so, and you're just going to stuff it right in there like that. And so this is, I choose to use a nylon to stuff the fiberfill into. That way we don't have any little bits of fiberfill coming out at any point. It gives it a higher quality finish, in my opinion. So after you've kind of lightly stuffed it and you've got that in there, you're going to take more fiberfill and you're going to put it in. And you're going to, I tend to stuff my projects pretty firmly. It just ends up, I don't know, I like the look better. So you're going to kind of use your fingers to not just shove fiberfill straight down, because if you do that you kind of get a too long of a face, but you're also going to push the fiberfill, kind of push it to the sides like so. That way, you know, so you got to go down and to the sides. You want a balance of both, but that's going to give you the most authentic shape to the head. So that feels pretty good to me thus far. Like it's definitely not, we're not done stuffing, but after the next row we'll add a little bit more, because you don't want to stuff right up to the very top, because then when you try and finish out these decreasing rows, they're too full, and the decreasing stitches are really hard to do. So we won't finish stuffing it completely right now, but we'll add more after the next row. So row 11, just going to insert our hook back into our loop of color B here. It's going to be single crochet decrease times 6. Somehow, there we go, snagged a yarn. So I've got single crochet and then decrease and single crochet, decrease. So we're removing 6 stitches from the head right now. So that's like it's going to decrease rather suddenly. That's why we don't want to have it stuffed too tight. And there's our last decrease. And we'll finish off the row. With our invisible slip stitch, just like that. So we've gotten a lot smaller in a very short amount of time. So we're going to go ahead and add some more stuffing. So the next row is our last row for the head, and we don't want it to be understuffed. So this is basically our last chance to add fiber fill. Okay, that feels pretty good. It's also wise to like stop and take a look and say, does that look like what I'm thinking? And it doesn't quite. I need to stuff it a little bit better here along the eyes. Well, where the eyes are going to go. There we go. That's looking more like it. And then our last row is decrease 6. So decreases coming off of the invisible join can be really hard. It's hard to kind of get in here and grab that first loop, just that front loop. Yeah, it's pretty hard. So you can do it, but probably what I'm just going to do is do a standard sort of decrease, yarn over and pull through. Then I'm going to go under this next one, the first loop of the next one, pull through, and then I'm going to pull through that stitch, collapsing them into 2, and then finish off the stitch. So it's not like proper technique, but it works better than trying to do the right thing, the invisible decrease right there. So we're just going to decrease all the way around. And this is our last one. There we go. And before I finish it off, I'm going to let myself add just a smidge more fiber fill. There we go, that feels pretty good. So another thing I do want to mention, well, I'll talk about it right as soon as we finish up. So we're going to go ahead and use our invisible slip stitch. Get my yarn where it belongs. There we go. Like that to close it off. We'll go ahead and cut. It's probably about 5 inches, like this. Just gonna pull that tight. And then you're gonna knot off the nylon. Go ahead and cut that. I've given myself about a 1/2 inch. You can do more if you'd like. And then you're just going to poke it right there into the project. And then I suggest using a smaller hook, kind of around a 5.5. I think the one I have right now is just a 5. Yeah. And you're going to gather the stitches. So you're going to insert them through the outside loop. You're going to just pull it through like this, going all the way around. So you should be gathering 6 stitches. So even as you do that, you can see that it's kind of closing down. I'm going to pull it tight before I get this last one. So that last one's kind of stubborn. All right, so now you've got it pulled tight. Your project is tied off, and you're just going to just going to knot it. You can knot however you'd like. I just knot like so, and then you're going to weave it into the project. And if your yarn tail's really long, you can cut it, cut the excess, or you can just weave it all in, whatever you'd like. So that is the end of the head. And so what I wanted to bring up is that usually when I crochet, it's not top down like this. So this little guy has been having his nose shoved in while we've been crocheting. So I'm just going to kind of use my hands to shape it out because I've been pushing his nose into the counter. It doesn't have the right shape. So there we go. That's looking better. Now we've got more of our cow shape going on. And next we will move on to the eyes.